Christmas Eve, 1971. High above the emerald canopy of the Peruvian Amazon, the world didn't just end, it tore itself apart. One moment, 17-year-old Juliane Koepcke was listening to the violent rattle of LANSA Flight 508 as it plunged blindly into a colossal wall of black thunderstorm clouds. The next, a blinding flash of white-hot lightning detonated the cabin. Amidst the deafening roar of explosive decompression, the screaming thousands of feet in the air stopped instantly. The aircraft shattered into nothingness, leaving a lone teenager strapped to a 3-passenger bench seat, falling completely alone through the freezing sky. 2 miles of empty, howling air lay between the girl and the earth. There was no parachute, no safety line, only the violent velocity of gravity drawing her down into the green maw of the jungle. As the seat spun wildly through the sky, acting like a makeshift helicopter rotor, the thinning air whipped her hair and stole her breath. The massive, undulating ocean of the Amazon canopy rushed upward at terminal speed, a beautiful and terrifying green tomb waiting to claim its prize. When the clock of the world started ticking again, it was morning. The violent fury of the sky had given way to a suffocating, heavy silence, broken only by the mocking, rhythmic chirps of paradise birds. Juliane awoke face down in the primeval mud, tangled in the shattered remnants of the airplane seats. The thick jungle canopy had cushioned her 2-mile plunge, but the toll was heavy: a fractured collarbone, a deep gash on her arm, a ruptured knee, and a brain deeply bruised by a severe concussion. Squinting through the humid haze, Juliane realized a terrifying truth: her glasses were gone, leaving her world a beautiful, predatory blur. She crawled through the filth, crying out into the vast emptiness for her mother, but her voice was swallowed instantly by the dense foliage. She found only a small, crushed bag of hard candies in the dirt, her sole sustenance for the days to come. Surrounded by a chaotic labyrinth of green, she stood up on a mangled knee, fueled by a single memory of her biologist father's voice echoing from a happier life: "Follow the water, Juliane. The water is your road home." By the 5th day, the trickling stream had swelled into a wide, murky brown river, becoming both her highway and her sanctuary. Because the thick jungle brush was completely impenetrable, Juliane waded directly through the dark waters, her clothes tearing into useless tatters. She moved blindly through the heart of the Shadowland, entirely unaware of the apex predators watching from the margins. Beneath the muddy surface, electric eels and venomous stingrays glided past her bleeding feet, while the silent, armored shapes of black caimans slipped off the muddy banks into the dark water behind her. As the days bled into one another, the jungle began to consume her alive. On the 9th day, a horrifying turning point arrived. The humid air and open wounds had drawn blowflies, and Juliane discovered that a deep, agonizing gash in her arm had become an active nest for dozens of living maggots. Delirious from hunger, fighting a raging fever, and feeling the parasites tunneling beneath her skin, the line between surviving and fading away began to blur into the brown river water. On the 11th day, when her strength had evaporated and her mind drifted toward surrender, a miracle appeared on the muddy horizon. It wore the simple, rustic shape of a weathered wooden canoe moored to a riverbank. Crawling out of the water like a ghost breathing in the mud, Juliane dragged her broken body toward the vessel. Nearby sat a small, primitive shelter used by local loggers, containing a half-empty can of boat fuel. Remembering how her father had once treated an infected dog in their jungle clinic, Juliane seized the gasoline. With hands shaking from agony and exhaustion, she poured the harsh, biting fuel directly into the open, infested wound on her arm. The gasoline burned like holy fire, searing her raw flesh and driving the burrowing larvae out of her skin. She screamed until her voice shattered into the empty air, the sheer shock of the pain finally breaking her remaining consciousness as she collapsed onto the dirt floor of the empty shack. The next morning, the heavy silence was broken by the sound of human voices as local Peruvian loggers discovered the broken girl resting in the shade. To them, she looked like a spirit conjured by the rainforest itself. They treated her wounds with gentle hands, lifted her frail body into their boat, and began the long journey back to civilization. Juliane wept as the boat glided into the open sunlight. She had fallen from the heavens, conquered the underworld, and walked through 11 days of living hell to claim her right to live. The girl who fell from the sky was finally going home,